by use of exercise and renewing our mind, all of that is helping us grow in perseverance. In character, it's a long term we start to see the change in our character. It's over the longer term kind of scenarios, not like immediately I'm going through the storm, yay, my character is miraculously changed. It's over time that our character starts to build. And hope is seeing all of that God has promised. It's seeing it even in the midst of the storm. This is God's promise. This is what he said. I'm going to hold on to that. I know a lot of you are dealing with food and weight loss and things. Imagine if you can start seeing the challenges of that, the pressures and even the temptations of that, of a platform for you to experience transformation, rather than saying, I can't wait till this one's over. I can't wait till this is done. I can't wait to get to target weight or whatever it is you're trying to go to. But imagine if actually the process of it can actually draw us closer to God. What if the training of our physical body can actually be a way that is a catalyst for us drawing closer to the Lord? I've read this book ages ago that said that what if in our marriages, if you're struggling in a marriage, that potentially our marriage is actually trying to create in us to become more Christ-like. So because we're being pressured all the time, like nowhere else are we probably more pressured than our marriage to speak softly and not respond hastily and be quick to listen and slow to speak and have unconditional love. And wow, actually, I think I'm trying to be formed into being like Christ here, because nowhere else, I find those who I'm closest to is often those who we can clash a bit more because we love each other so much, but I'm being chiseled. Does that make sense? And often, like the way we try, and I'm not against, I'm not going to make a comment on divorce, but often we divorce, we separate, we run away when it gets really, really hard. And I'm not talking about if you're being abused or hit or anything like that, of course, but in the day-to-day struggles of within those dynamics, they can actually be being, if we respond correctly, can be used to create. In fact, I think I'm a much better person being married to Matthew than I was not being married to Matthew. I think there's only certain things I've learned from each child. Even each different child has brought out something in me that only they could have brought out, and some more than others, okay, have brought out bits of me that needed to be chiseled out. God bless those little boys. Okay, by walking in obedience to the suffering, it will help us to discern in Romans 12:2 what is evil and what is good. It can help us run into alignment of who we are in Christ when we're going through those troubles. We can know, it helps us discern this is good, this is God, this is not good, this is evil, as we continue to walk in the obedience, that process of obedience despite the suffering. Okay, what we see in the mirror when we look back at ourselves in the mirror does have an impact on our soul. So, of course, we're training our soul to see from the Spirit, but we can bring confusion to our soul if from one side we're receiving that, yes, I'm whole and perfect, I'm a child of God, I'm righteous, I've been bought with a beautiful price. And then we may look in the mirror, it's very personal, we may look in the mirror and go, oh, right, what is that? Like, that doesn't look, what I see in the mirror doesn't line up with being this instrument of Christ. So for instance, when you look at the temple, yeah, not this temple, I'm talking about the, you know, the temple, old covenant temple and things, how much precision was made and put into the building, the maintaining, the cleaning, the adornment of the temple. Was it because it was something special about the acacia wood that just no, it wasn't, right? It was what was within the temple, the Holy of Holies, right? And the presence of God in there that made people, obviously they were given the commandment of how to take care of the temple, but it was because of the preciousness within it is how they kept and looked after the temple and how they adorned it. And so one of the things the Lord was saying was that there is a call for how we look after our body can have an impact on our soul. So I was going through a very, very trying trial, and it within of itself was hard enough, okay? And it was to do with my body, and it was hard enough as it was. But I walked past the mirror, okay, as I was sobbing and crying about that trial, and I caught a glimpse of myself, and then I heard a voice say, and to top it off, you've just let your body go, like it's just terrible, and it's this and it's that, and look at what, And I was like, wow, where did that come from? Again, you can find Christ in that reference point of what you see in the mirror and what you tell yourself. However, there is also an element for that we cannot be taking care or place enough value on our bodies to take care of it based off what's actually residing in us. So if the Holy of Holies is inside you and Christ is inside you as much as in the temple, how much more should we obviously be taking care of our body? And I'm not necessarily talking about, when I get to a certain weight or when I get to a certain place or whatever, then I'll be really happy and I'll take care of it. I mean, from now, from today, every day, what we do does have an impact. So what we see and what you say about your body and what you think about your body and what you say about your body, or even if you allow the lies of the enemy to come in, or even society tells you what is an acceptable body and what is a non-acceptable body, what's approved of and lifted up often is the Kim Kardashians, if you know who that is, Kim Kardashians of the world. And what is pulled down is, I don't know, I won't call out anybody, can't think of anyone, but often that's what's exalted in the earth. And then we put ourselves and make Kim Kardashian or whoever you think is pretty, we make them our reference point. Or you may have lost weight before and you make that person, the old person, your reference point. I just want to get back to that, to the heydays, to the former days when, I was 16 years old and I could wear whatever I wanted. And, we're trying to go back there as well and idolizing the past sphere. I know I have. When we're talking about bringing everything into alignment of who we are, our body will reflect what we think and see about ourselves on the inside, as you know. Now, some of us don't have a good mindset, a good mind about what we think about our body. Now, we don't need to wait to get to a certain goal point to say, now I'm going to appreciate this body God's given me. But if you can see yourself as the temple of the living God, okay, holy, precious, that remember, Matthew was saying to me, when people would, if someone who wasn't clean entered into a certain part of the temple, they'd just drop down dead. Okay. If there was anything, if you tried to walk into the Holy of Holies room before it was your time, if you were not called as the priest to go, you're dead, right? That's it. That same very power of God is living inside us. And so I know that there are scriptures that talk about don't let your adornment on the outside, be with jewels and elaborate braiding, but it's talking about not only let that be, sure, if you want to braid your hair, if you want to do whatever, then do it. But again, from what reference point? If we're doing it for so everyone else will approve me and so I look glamorous and pretty, but if you're doing it from the perspective of that, wow, I recognize that I host the Holy of Holies, that I am precious, that God looks at me and thinks that I'm the most beautiful Mary Dean Soane that's ever graced this earth, right? With the apple of his eye, we can start to clothe ourselves on the outside, both tangibly and with our clothes, even if you want to call it that, from knowing our righteous position in Christ. And what I wrote was that what you value within you really should line up with what is on the outside. And it can help our soul. I think it actually can. I think it can actually help our soul. And we do want to be in the business of helping our soul because it's been damaged so much often. And we want to be able to help our soul to go, okay, what I see on the outside when we look through the mirror, does it reflect the value of what is residing inside me? And that is an interesting truth that I wasn't expecting to share, but that's something that God showed me this week. And I think for some of us, body image is a very, very big problem. Small or not so small, it's still a big, big problem. And for women, I think more so than men. Don't get me wrong, men have it tough too in this day and age, right? But I think that women have it more. And I did hear a minister say once that often what we speak to our bodies as well can, as someone said to me that when they see women say, oh my goodness, I just hate my legs. I hate my legs. The worst part of me. Often that's the part of them that still continues to become a problem, because whatever you speak, there is power and life in our tongue. So whatever we speak can actually produce something. Life and death is in our tongue. So we also have to be careful what we say about the vessel of God. what we say about his temple. If he says it's beautiful and precious, but we say, I'm not there yet, Lord, you know, it's still got a bit of work, and, you know, just, I hate that part, and I hate my freckles, and I hate my hair, and it never sits right, and it's just, you know, and I look in the mirror and I'm just like, oh, what's the point? God's like, really? Are you saying that about the temple of God? Like, what would happen if someone said that in the Old Testament about the temple of God? I don't know. Maybe it happened. I missed that part in the Bible. Okay. And then I just always think about the prodigal son as well, that he repented in the place of not a good place. He didn't get out of the pig's pen or whatever that he was in and then find the answer. He found the answer in the middle of the problem. Okay. And then what I loved is, obviously, as he was decided to come back home, the father saw him running. The father saw him coming from a way off. It's like he was waiting. And he came with clothes and a ring, and he clothed him with all these fine garments and everything. And so what I just really feel is that we need to appreciate what we have.